The New York Knicks defense has been exposed without OG Anunoby, but has it also revealed even deeper flaws about their roster?
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are locked on to the New York Knicks. My name is Gavin Schall. I'm a New York City native and a credentialed media member that's been covering the Knicks for nearly a decade. He is Kris Pursiainen, a fantastic NBA reporter over at Clutch Points, who's also been a credentialed media member covering the Knicks the last couple of years. And this is Locked On Knicks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And now the #1 sports podcast network in the entire world. So that's pretty cool. Locked On Knicks gives you most detailed insight into your favorite team at least 5 days a week. And it would be really great if you guys could help us hit 10,000 subscribers before the start of 2026. We're rapidly approaching, and it is the single best way you can help us grow the show. So we really appreciate it. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, this is a topic, Kris, I've been kind of bandying about in my head for the last 10 days or so. Was just kind of looking for a free day to get to it. You and I talked about it. You were interested too, so I thought we'd go over it together. And that is just the notion that this Knicks roster might have some flaws on its back end. And to be clear, this isn't me hitting the panic button or saying this team definitely can't win a championship or that they've grossly underachieved so far. More so just OG Anunoby, I think, revealed something that, like, a lot of us knew, that the Knicks have not been perfect in how they've constructed the back end of the roster. And to win a championship, you do have to hit on almost 100% of your moves. So we'll talk about what OG Anunoby's injury revealed, just how flawed this roster is, and can it be fixed, at least in the context of this season. But we'll start off with OG's injury. I threw out the number a couple of pods back that OG, I think at the time, was all the way up to 6th in the NBA in on-off differential, which is a great stat for him. I don't think it's a great stat in terms of speaking to the depth of the New York Knicks. He's now 11th out of about 250 or so guys who have played at least 200 minutes or season, plus 18.4 on-off differential. The defense specifically is 13 points better when he's on the court. I don't know if this is breaking news that OG is just an absolutely essential piece to this team. Do you think we maybe underestimated the depths of how poor at times the defense would look? And they haven't been like worst in the league. They've been 20th in defensive rating since he's been out. I think the concerning part of that is they've mostly played mediocre to bad offenses. The 11th, 2 games against the Heat, 30th, 14th, 24th ranked offense. Do we potentially underestimate what the Knicks would be losing with OG Anunoby off the court?
Interesting framing, because I don't know if that's the case as much as, like, man, this is tough. I think this is one of those things where all the forces are kind of going at something, where it's like, the Ball pod talks all the time about, like, guys getting paid or getting their next contract based off of, like, a deceiving on-off or plus minus. Like, for example, just and again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree or whatever, but the Knicks example they bring up all the time is Emmanuel Quickly had such a good plus minus or on off because the Knicks were consistently tanking their starting lineup with 1 to 2 of the, so, like, yeah, I think there's something there. Maybe. I want to say OG is both really good, just a hot take. And also that the Knicks don't, because most teams don't have a replacement for him. The Knicks really don't have a replacement for him.
Yeah.
And they don't just have, like, Tari Eason chilling on the bench. It's Mo Diawara, who is 6'9", but also cannot shoot. And so you put him out there at the same time as Hart, and all of a sudden, the Hart Precious lineups are back. And I just think it's interesting. Like, so I wouldn't say that people overestimated how much they'd miss with OG Anunoby. I think Shamit getting hurt at the same time
Yeah.
makes us ask all these questions. Like, if Shamit is still healthy and having 30-point halves and whatever, people are probably just like, got to do another week without OG. And then that's it. I doubt that it becomes some sort of macro conversation about, like, is Miami doing it better? Is Cleveland
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
think that's well said. And like I probably, because I was obviously, like most of us, not super thrilled after the Magic game, and probably underestimated. And the hot hand theory guys, one of them, our guy too, XJ, did a great job breaking this down. Like, it is a real challenge when you lose three of your, I don't know, 4-5 best point of attack defenders in a single game, in Deuce, Shamit, and OG, all being out, especially against that team. Not that anyone other than OG would have had like a puncher's chance of slowing down Franz on that night. And also, like, arguably, like, not your three best shooters, but your three most willing 3-point shooters and your three most voluminous 3-point shooters against one of the most physical defenses in the NBA. And I think all that combined to make it look bad. I think I phrased that initial question to you poorly. What I'm sort of getting at here, and this is more of a vibes thing than probably what is happening in reality, was that Magic game. Like, the thought I kept coming back to was like, man, the Knicks just feel small. Like watching Franz. Like, I mean, obviously he was just absolutely cooking Mitch, but when Mitch wasn't in the game, like he would just go bully ball against Josh Hart, once or twice against Mikal Bridges, and then you're watching Jonathan Isaac, like, over and over again, like, cut for backline lobs or offensive rebounds where he's just 5 inches taller than the guy trying to box him out. And my first thought watching that was like, man, the Knicks feel small. And I was thinking back, like, when was the last time I felt that way? And I did, this is going back about almost exactly 2 years. They played the Pelicans early in the 23-24 season. They were a weirdly good stretch for the Pelicans, healthy, Zion, like all the wings they had. Dyson Daniels was still on the team. And I remembered the Knicks just kind of getting big boyed, for lack of a better term, in that game. And I came out and I said, like, as optimistic as I was about the season, as excited as I am, to like have Jalen Brunson going into his second year with the team. Like, this team is just too small to accomplish anything significant. And I sort of felt that way the whole first half of that season. They make the trade for OG, and they had, again, I always reference it, a glorious month of that front line of OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein. And that was like the one time, Kris, it felt like being wrapped in just like the ultimate, like, warm weighted blanket. I was like, wow, every night the Knicks are going out there and just punking the team they're playing. And I haven't totally had that feeling since. I was curious this year if a starting front line that's also just enormous and like incredible from a rebounding perspective, OG, Cat, Mitch, would give me that. I feel like we've seen it in fits and spurts. It hasn't necessarily been a consistent element of this team, at least since the first 10 games of the season when they were top 5 in both offensive and defensive rebounding percentage. They've fallen off a little bit since then. But I think not having OG defensively, like, you just so often feel when they're not playing double big and the big gets pulled into the action, that lack of backline rim protector. And maybe that's what I'm pointing to. I'm wondering, like, this is so, like, not scientific. This is just kind of gut instinct. Like, do you think maybe that's what fans and you perhaps are reacting to at times when you watch this team and you're just like, there's just not enough there? And to your point, like, OG is incredibly, incredibly valuable, but as we'll go over next segment, like, there are other teams that are just a little bit more well equipped to at least attempt to replace a guy like that.
It's tough, man, because part of me wants to make fun of us for being like, or rather for doing the thing where it's like, can you replace a third of your payroll with minimum contract guys? Like, and no, it's always
For sure. But I just want to note, like, this is, and I'll give examples next segment because I want to let you finish this point. Like, every team has major injuries, and it feels like, and again, I could be, they played 5 games and they're 3-2 in those games. So it's definitely an overreaction in that sense. It just feels like other teams don't lose their style as much as the Knicks when one guy goes out. So yeah, sorry, continue though.
No, and that's exactly that right there.
Yeah.
Like that's the best way that either of us have put what we're talking about.
Okay.
So credit to you for, you know what I mean? Like that was really good, man. That was really succinct. Like the Knicks lose their style when I think if you remember OG's first game, which was New Year's Day against the Timberwolves, and Thibodeau was telling media, he's like, yeah, like we talked on the phone, like I told him like 2 plays. Like he really doesn't know what's going on. It's pure instinct out there, like vibes and cutting and open shots. And Mike Brown's offense like creates that all game long. So I would say it's always going to kind of mirror who's on the court. Like Jordan Clarkson, his biggest threat is cooking in ISO. So it's when he cooks in ISO that he's the most threatening to defenses. Like OG Anunoby's biggest threat, I would say, is getting open in the corner or open in the dunker spot. So when you lose that guy and you plug in Shamit, whose thing is open in the corner and not also in the dunker spot, all of a sudden your offense is going to look different. When all of a sudden you lose Shamit and now you plug in Diawara, whose thing offensively is, and then he's good on defense, but his thing offensively right now is, so that's how you're gonna look on that side of the ball. Like I would say, styles make fights, and the Knicks are certainly being forced into fighting in a way that they did not plan to going into the season. But that's the other part of it, right? Is going into the season, they signed Yabusele and Clarkson and Shamit, and now all of a sudden they're playing 2 non-shooters again. They weren't planning for this either, but that's the point. Is they weren't planning for this, but it's November 26th, and here we are. So, maybe time to look into pivots.
All right, and we'll get to pivots, and we'll also get to this. I want to compare them to other teams. This is an interesting exercise to me because I wanted to know, like, would this happen to everyone? We'll talk about it next right here on Locked On Knicks. First, we want to tell you about our good friends over at Game Time. Basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump just before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated, but all you want to do is cheer on your team. And that's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I love that what you see is what you pay. No hidden fees at checkout. Nothing raises my blood pressure like buying tickets for 5 friends and seeing the final price jump over $100 when I go to checkout. That just doesn't happen with Game Time. Plus, I can see exactly what my view looked like before I bought the tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Their zone deals are also game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NBA tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Happy holidays to everyone watching. I think XJ will be with you for a pre-Thanksgiving episode. It was me and Kris's last time to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone celebrating. And to celebrate, we're going to talk about the Knicks compared to some of the other best teams in the league. Kris, you watch the entire NBA. You cover the entire NBA. So I'm excited to, as more of a Knicks-specific guy, I'm excited to bounce a lot of these off of you. Because I just wanted to note for people at home who are not aware, and I think more people are on the side of overreacting to this than underreacting to this, so I probably don't need to tell them. But I was just curious because I looked at some of the other best teams in the league and the injury issues that they've gone through and was wondering like have the Knicks responded as well? So we start with Oklahoma City, and the answer is in all caps no, because they lose Jalen Williams in a vacuum, probably a slightly better player than OG Anunoby, though they're very comparable, and they are 17-1, and they have, on cleaning the glass, not including garbage time, a plus 18.9 net rating. They are their own thing. They are unique, but and like maybe the best case scenario version of the Knicks can compete with them in a series. But they are in their own stratosphere in terms of their depth and in terms of like the insulation that their roster provides. All right, let's go. Houston Rockets, 11-4. No Fred VanVleet, no Dorian Finney-Smith. Doesn't matter. Plus 12.2 net rating. Next in the net rating rankings, Nuggets, Raptors, both by and large have been healthy. Raptors have missed Jakob Poeltl for some amount of time. So we won't count them, but they've both been great. The Pistons, 15-2, plus 8.3 net rating. Unless I missed an injury for them. I know Cade missed a couple of games, and they had one game where they just played their full bench and won anyway. Shout out to Danis Jenkins, if I'm saying his name correctly. No Jaden Ivey until last game. I actually think that is probably better for them, but we could talk about that on a different day. Miami, 12-6, plus 6.5 net rating. No Hero. Bam has missed almost half their games. Hasn't mattered. Wolves, 10-6, plus 6.2 net rating. Missed Ant for almost 2 weeks. Hasn't mattered too much. Across the street from me, the Phoenix Suns, 11-7, plus 5. No Jalen Green the whole season. Dylan Brooks has missed half the year. They were supposed to suck. Hasn't mattered. The Spurs, 11-5, missed Wemby the last 4 games. Castle, 5 games. Harper, half the season. Fox, half the season. Point is, whole league is injured. And again, this isn't framing it as the Knicks have been broken in a unique way. I just think, and I'll let you expand on this, like you nailed it before when you spoke of like someone like Tyrese, and I wrote like, and I can get to it if we have time. I'm not sure if we will, but like just a long list of just the wing depth and insulation that other teams have. And we spoke of it a little before the start of the year, and even last year, that the Knicks really only had 3 playable wings in Hart, McHale, and OG. And if one of them were to get hurt, OG most damaging of all, like you were going to have to find some way to substitute for that. And you compare the like just young talent the Knicks have had and how they've used their draft equity over the last few years. And it's mostly paid off because they put together this like really talented veteran roster, but they lose one key piece. You just don't have that first round pick that's been incubating for 2 years, like Oklahoma City always seems to, that can step into that role and execute at a high level.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing, right? Is like the Thunder, like one of the guys the Thunder are missing right now is Thomas Sorber, who has never played in a game, and he is going to spawn into the league next year as a second-year rookie who magically has feel for the game because he just watched it for a year from a great seat. Like, this is the Topich of it all, right? Like, this is the yeah.
I mean, look at Reed Shepherd, essentially redshirted last year. Now, like Fred VanVleet gets hurt, he's like what, 15 points a game, 40% from 3. I might be making those numbers up, but he's been good.
You are, and Ime would be playing him negative minutes per game, I think, if he could. So this was, whatever. My point is more so like the Thunder, I think, have all these picks and stuff. Like that's something the Knicks are never gonna have, is the opportunity to be so bad that you can, and I think now that they won a championship, it's okay to say this for what it was, because it was really smart and it worked. Faked SGA injuries to keep getting lottery picks. Sure. When he was like, he made all NBA at least a year later than he should have for the first time, because he was just straight up out with a case of the nothings the year before so often that he was disqualified. Really? Like, that's best for your fans? No. But now it is, so sure. But, like, in the moment, Benji was losing his mind, and that was for a reason. He wasn't crazy. Or not for that reason. So I would say that those are picks that the Knicks are never going to have. You see the Thunder, popping someone like Naquan Tomlin in right now, whose name is
the Cavs. Yeah.
Name is becoming kind of hot. Yeah. And his name is becoming kind of hot right now. Like, these are guys that are all just like, that's their Diawara. Like, these guys also have mess ups. You're just seeing the highlight and being like, whoa. did the Knicks pass on Scottie Pippen with the 48th pick? Hey, man, the odds are probably not. Like, probably not. But like, the first round pick thing I get, and the other side of it is too that like, if Yabusele looks like a steal at $6.5 million a year, we're probably also just not having the like.
Mhm.
Oh, he's blocking shots on defense, so he's being like the backstop that Brown wants at center, but he's coming down the court and as a trailer and he's nailing these threes. Like, I don't think we're talking about is the Knicks roster flawed. I think we're talking about like, they really just got to wait out this Anunoby and Shamet thing, or we'll see, right? Because getting Anunoby back magically fixes a lot of things.
Yeah,
but
almost everything.
Not getting Shamet back right away, if that shoulder is another several month thing, that would make me want to call up an unlikely trade partner and ask about a certain player who I'll reveal after this break.
All right, we'll get into it in just a sec here on Locked On Knicks. But first, we want to tell you about our friends over at Drip Drop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works a little bit better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands, using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I love making Drip Drop part of my daily routine. Ever since I moved to Arizona, as you'd expect, it had some issues with hydration. It makes my water taste better, and even more importantly, it makes me perform better, whether I'm playing basketball, whether I'm going for a lift. I am not at full capacity if I'm not fully hydrated, and Drip Drop ensures that I always am. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. So go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's dripdrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. All right, we're back to wrap this one up. Kris, I want to get to your big reveal, but before we do, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the draft pick situation. You are a man who loves an NFL analogy on this podcast, so I'll give you one. To me, it's the rookie QB contract theory of the NFL, that it is just so much easier to build a Super Bowl contender when you have a competent to better than competent quarterback on a rookie contract, obviously, because that is whatever, like potentially $30-40 million a year in cap, you just get to use on other guys. And I think it is applicable in some ways to the New York Knicks, where the Knicks, by and large, like you can quibble with like a few contracts, and you could say in a perfect world, Cat would be making a little bit less. OG, even though I think he's fairly paid, would have also taken like a Brunson-esque contract and be making a little bit less. But it is just a clear-cut advantage that the Rockets, that the Thunder in particular, have over the New York Knicks in their roster building, that like they just have, they're getting, if not all NBA value, high level starter value out of guys like AJ Mitchell or Amen Thompson, that are just complete steals on their current contract. And you go back and you look at how the Knicks have used their first round picks. I think everything is perfectly defensible in a vacuum. You go to 2022, right, where they traded their first, which was the 10th and was the 10th pick in the draft, to Oklahoma City for 3 future firsts. It gave them room to bring in both Brunson and Isaiah Hartenstein. The Pistons pick they end up using in the Cat trade. The Nuggets pick turns into a Bucks pick that they use in the Mikal Bridges trade. The Wizards pick will convert to 2 seconds this year. 2023, they trade their first round pick for Josh Hart. Perfectly good deal. Like that is a clear-cut win for the Knicks, even if you want to complain about how Josh has performed the last 2 years. 2024, you get Pacom Dadier, Tyler Kolek, Ariel Hukporti, Kevin McCullough Jr. as an undrafted free agent. Hukporti, I think we've talked about it, even though he's not playing much or playing well this year. Great value at the pick. The other 2 guys, TBD, even if some people are losing faith in Pacom. Only really painful part about that is you did have 2 guys that fit the description I just discovered. Or not discovered, I just described, and then traded them.
All right, Chris Columbus,
Yeah. Thanks. Don't. That's not a good name to throw out there. Anyway, no one died here. But they had Keyshawn George and AJ Mitchell. Again, probably had no intention of ever drafting those guys. Simply drafted them because those were the picks that the teams they were trading with wanted. So it's not really a thing that the Knicks had those guys. It's just you can imagine a world where like Keyshawn George, could he be giving you 80% or 70% of an OG Anunoby impersonation right now, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, obviously, good player, good young player, not in the same stratosphere as an OG yet. AJ Mitchell, like a much better version, I think, of what they're getting from Jordan Clarkson on a similar contract would be revelatory to the New York Knicks this year. And I'm not going to crap on the front office for not picking those guys. Like, again, like whatever teams are in that range, like 10 of the 11 teams in that range had no interest in picking those guys individually. The Knicks have consistently hit it out of the park with those late picks. It is just like to win a championship, so many dominoes have to fall perfectly. And those are two spots where the Knicks had a window at like a perfect guy, and they ultimately didn't get them. And I go back to losing someone like Isaiah Hartenstein 2 years ago. I go back to like the opportunity cost of like, man, like could they have brought in another two-way wing if someone like Josh Hart was instead a Tamani Kamara, like on a cheap contract, like giving you similar production if in a different way. And these aren't complaints about how the Knicks are built in just a vacuum, because I think the Knicks are fantastically built compared to 26 or 27 teams. It's just that if you want to win a championship and like have like the margin for error a team like the Thunder has, to your point, you would have needed to tank before and have gotten a million picks, but you also just need like one of those home run Desmond Bane at the end of the first round type picks. And the closest the Knicks have to that to Deuce, who was like an incredible pick and is an incredible contract now, but they just don't have that one guy that would give them the wiggle room to be on the level of roster depth, like the Rockets, like the Thunder, on top of not having all those picks.
I feel like I'm in an episode of The Twilight Zone. Like, I feel like Gavin just morphed into like Stephen A. Smith and just did like a 4-minute segment on a Knicks reality that like never happened. Like that's where you just left me at, man. So let me just air my grievances as follows. One, the Knicks, it was the 11th pick in that draft. The guy the Thunder took was Ousmane Dieng, and then they took Jalen Williams with the 12th pick. Kevin McCullough was the 56th pick, not an undrafted free agent. And AJ Mitchell is not better than Jordan Clarkson at anything besides being born later.
Really? You don't think he's better right now than Jordan Clarkson?
At what? Like at what besides being drafted by the Thunder?
I was
this is like a huge. This is like a huge. I'm a huge AJ Mitchell guy. Like I thought I was one of the bigger ones out there. I don't know what basketball thing he's better than Jordan Clarkson at. Like dribbling, shooting, passing, defense, I guess.
You don't think he's a better defender than Jordan is right now? Yeah.
I guess because his role is so small and he's young, he's got a lot of energy to put towards it. So I'll definitely go with AJ on the defensive end. But like offense, I don't know what he's better at than Jordan. And that's not like I'm pretty sure just like a flat out first round grade on AJ and was really into him and really liked him for the Knicks. And as a McBride backcourt compliment, like really in on Mitchell from before the draft. If you want to just look at actual EPM through the start of from the start of this season, Mitchell's 55th percentile on offense and Clarkson is 70th.
Sure.
So like if you want to do pure impact or whatever, like nerd stats that way, like Clarkson is a level up. Sure. I think we kind of like baby other teams' young players. Like if we're pointing out AJ Mitchell as this, like again, who I think every NBA team could use and who I adore personally and think was underdrafted and you're too low on you listening, all my usual cliches, like you reading this, yes, you're too low on AJ Mitchell, all my usual bits and cliches and running bits, and they all apply here. That said, like if we're touting him as some proof that OKC's roster construction is perfect. It's like Deuce McBride at $4 million a year is the same thing. That's the same. That's a rookie deal, pretty much. Might as well.
Yeah, and I mentioned. I mean, and again, that's
of
like
course. But the
our
thing
version
is,
of that.
like,
Yeah.
OKC also has Aaron Wiggins, and they also have.
Well, that's the point, that they have, because of the rookie contracts, they have the cap space to have 5 of those guys. And it's to your point, it's in conjunction with them having 1 million picks, taking 1 million shots, and saying, we took these 6 guys. Here are the 2 best 4 years later. We're just going to keep the 2 best.
So yeah,
every time
like
we do that.
That's the other side of it, right? Ousmane Dieng. Who talks about him?
No one
right
knows.
now. You know who actually no one talks about? And it's like, I'm not victory lapping being out on a prospect. I was out on Keyshawn George. You know how wrong and stupid I was about that already? Less than 2 years in, I'm wrong and dumb and a lard and whatever else, because I was just out on Keyshawn George. But like the Oklahoma City Thunder, I was not in on Dylan Jones at all. I know Ben Kim Gervey in the Knicks Film School's Discord was like trying to sell me on him like weekly. And I was like, I don't care about what you say. I just don't like this guy as a prospect. The Thunder traded 5 second-round picks to draft him in the first round. And then do you know what team he's on right now?
The Wizards, wasn't he?
The Wizards. He was drafted less than 3 years ago. Like, the Thunder
they can do that. They have the luxury of being able to do that. All right, who's I'm ready for the big reveal. Who is the potential trade target that the Knicks can use to fix their Landry Shamet-sized hole?
So and that's exactly it, right? It's a Landry Shamet replacement trade target. So going into the game against the New York Knicks, Brooklyn Nets swingman Tyrese Martin was leading the team in true shooting percentage over the 4 games going into that matchup with the Knicks, with a 74% true shooting over his last 4 games. This is a super niche, state-sponsored stat. But my point is that he can catch fire from deep. He is not a 3-point shooter. He's a 35% guy. But he's 6'6". He can catch fire from deep. He's a former UConn guy. This is a team Hurley fundamentals. This is someone who knows how to play Mike Brown ball, for lack of a better term. And this is someone who can plug in for Landry, particularly if they're thinking they're going to miss him for a long time, and if they want someone 2 inches taller than him when he's back, even. I wonder if something like Pacome Dadier in exchange for Martin and a 2nd-round pick, like, I wonder if you could get Brooklyn to bite on something like that exclusively because Dadier is signed still for years, or like at least one for a really low rate. And I'm pretty sure Martin, this is the last year of his deal. You're just trading for an expiring $2.1 million contract. So if you were willing to trade Pacome Dadier for nothing earlier to keep Malcolm Brogdon, then because Brown wanted Shamet over everyone. So the Knicks keeping Brogdon was a Knicks front office wanted to keep Brogdon, right? Because Brown was like, just give me Landry. So basically, I think the Knicks would be fine moving Dadier to get someone that may very well appear in the playoffs. The fact that they didn't go to Tosan Adwom makes me think, especially in a revenge game against the Nets, when so shorthanded, makes me think they're trying not to go to him at all if they don't have to. So, hey, if that's how you feel, that's okay. That's allowed. I would have gone to Tosan. It's funny. There was a Knicks beat reporter and I were texting before the game, like, someone should ask Mike about Tosan, and neither of us were there, so it was kind of useless. I was, getting ready to get out of the state, so I couldn't really be at Barclays. But if you can't tell from my non-usual backdrop, but yeah, Tyrese Martin, man, he's good. And if I do a quick pull up of his stats, I can tell you that on the 23rd, the day before he played the Knicks, so yeah, they were on a back-to-back, blah blah blah. He had 26 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals on 5 of 9 3-point shooting, 7 of 14 from the floor. Before that, back-to-back games against the Celtics, 1 of 3 from 3 each time. Not some superstar. But he still had 8 points and 2 assists minimum in both of those games. One of them he had 10 and 4. Game before that against the Wizards, he had 20 points and 4 dimes on 3 of 6 from downtown with a steal and 2 blocks. Like, this is not a world beater, but this is a guy who can play NBA basketball. So if I were the Knicks and the Nets were interested in Kolek or Dadier, particularly Dadier, because of the whole wing thing here, and you're going to Diawara over Dadier anyway, so I don't think you care. Yeah, I would do a straight up swap of Dadier for Martin or Dadier for Martin in a second rounder. I would think the Knicks should at least start by offering for posterity.
All right. It's a great suggestion. I like it. We'll call up Sean Marks in quick order. But until next time, he's Kris. I'm Gavin. Happy holidays. We'll talk to you soon right here on Locked On Knicks.